to Steiny and Guru on 95.7 The Game.
All right, let's get right to it. I am very excited, as you all know. We have with us today Hall of Famer Rod Carew, 1977 Most Valuable Player in the American League, 7-time batting champion. He hit .388 in 77. I'm wearing his shirt, 3053. That's how many hits he had in his career. Rod, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate that, too.
Absolutely. And the first thing I'll say is anybody out there, good, nice T-shirts on rodcarew.com. He's got a couple of them. And one of them has the saying, I think, shift this on it. So
right.
Explain to me.
I shift.
Yes. Explain to me your thoughts on the shift.
Well, I'm not crazy about it. I don't think that the outfielders or the infielders should go out past the grass on the infield, to make that shift. I think they should stay like on the grass, maybe 5 feet off the grass. But it's crazy. I think it's forcing some hitters that aren't making the adjustments to still pull the ball. They don't want to go the other way. And that's what I used to do my whole career. Wherever the pitch was, that's where I'm going to hit it.
Rod Carew joining us on 95.7 The Game. Greatest hitter I've ever seen in my lifetime. Rod, I mean, you know all your numbers. When you were growing up, had you grown up, let's say, in this era, do you think coaches would have tried to change your swing? Was there any talk back in the 70s about launch angle and things like that?
No, not at all. Just about pulling the ball. And the first coach I had in the big leagues, Tim Lamon, he wanted me to pull the ball more. And I said, well, if I'm hitting .350 going up the middle in left field, why should I change that and create bad habits by rolling over and hitting ground balls? I said, if we have a hit and run and the ball is on the inside part of the plate, I'm going to try and pull it. But I said, I'm not going to go up there and, try and pull everything like most guys are trying to do today.
Rod, I told my partner, and he knows I love baseball. I grew up on it. I watch it every night. But, Rod, I got to be honest, I'm mad at it. And I'm mad at it that I'm seeing guys in the starting lineup batting 180, these 3 true outcomes to where all we care about is a home run, strikeout, or a walk. There's no shame in the striking out 3 times. When you watch today's baseball, Rod, can you share with us what you think? And it's changed.
I'm disgusted. Disgusted with a lot of hitters. They're more comfortable in striking out than trying to get a base hit the other. And for left-handed hitters, they leave that left side way open. Guys don't even try to bunt anymore. I guess it's not important. So I don't watch too many of the games. I watch the Twins a lot because I still work for them. But no, I'm just crazy that no one is taking advantage of the other side of the infield when the shift is on.
That was well said. Let me ask you this, because I'm on record as saying, in the inner cities, baseball to me is dying, and we can relive the history in baseball to where minorities and the Negro leagues, we weren't allowed to play. But now that's not the case. But I feel like, among young black men, baseball has become boring, and it's not because baseball doesn't want them to play. To me, Rod, what can baseball do to get those players back or make its sport popular? Is there anything?
Well, MLB has different places where kids can go and learn. And the kids are more interested in basketball and football.
Yeah.
And to me, it's crazy because, you don't have to be a big guy or a tall guy to play the game of baseball. You play it because you have, heart. But if you're going to play football, you better be big and you better be strong and take the beating. Baseball, it's all from the heart, learning to play the game, and it's just, you don't see it in college baseballs also.
Rod Carew
So
joining. Go ahead, Rod.
I'm disgruntled with that.
Rod Carew joining us on 95.7 The Game. 7-time AL batting champion. Hit 388 in 1977, his MVP season. Man. Hey, Rod, is this something I remember that is factual or not factual about you? Did you used to move in the batter's box at times when a pitcher was in his windup?
Yeah, because I would see the infielders moving also. So there are times that I would see them move, and I try to go that way, because if I hit the ball that way and it's maybe 3 or 4 steps out of the reach, they're not going to get me out. Even if they made an exceptional play, then they have to throw me out at first base. But it's something that I don't know. I just had that uncanny feeling, and it worked for me. So, because what I try to do, Matt, is I always try to read the ball coming out of the pitcher's hands, and that dictates to me where I'm going to hit it.
Well, because planting that back foot in the batter's box is like one of the most fundamentally sound things that used to get taught, and that's why you not doing that and being one of the greatest hitters always kind of fascinated me. Yeah, well, in today's game, batting averages doesn't count. Stealing bases don't count. You start a runner off at second base with nobody out, and players don't know how to get those runners over to third with nobody out. And, there's so many different ways you can score from third to win a game by pass ball or whatever, to score that winning run. But they don't do it. They just go up there and they try to swing at, the pitches. If it's outside, they're going to go the other way with it. Left-handers always seem to want to go the other way instead of trying to pull the ball to get the guy over to third. So it's just crazy, The analytics of today's game is just crazy.
I'm with you, Rod. You are preaching. Hey, we all appreciate what you've done in your career and the batting averages and what went into that. That was science. And we got a pool going on. Who was the most difficult pitcher Rod Carew faced? Do you got a couple you can share with us?
Yeah. Rudy May was one of the guys that I had trouble with.
Former Baltimore Oriole?
He hit the ball well. He was left-handed, and he hit the ball well. And I didn't do too good against him. And then I finally asked Gene Mauch to play me against him in New York. And Gene looked at me and he says, "Do you know what you're hitting against this guy?" I said, "Skip, I'm going to get 3 hits tonight." Which I did. I bunted for a base hit. I hit a ball to left field, and I hit a ball up the middle, and I ended up tonight, I think, going 3 for 4. So every time I go back to the dugout, Gene Mauch would always laugh. And from then on, I started playing more against Rudy May. But he's the one guy that had my number.
Ron Guidry?
Guidry was tough, too. But Guidry didn't hide the ball as much as the other guy.
Rudy May.
As Rudy May. And it came out of his hands at the last minute. Guidry, I picked the ball well up off of him, and I used to enjoy hitting against him because of the good fastball that he had and the slider that he had. So it was tough, but I rather played against him than play against Rudy May.
Gotcha. Rod Carew joining us, and wow. I just gotta keep picking your brain on this. Rod, of course, was a lefty. Did any righties give you trouble?
Mike Bodiger.
He remembers
the Baltimore Oriole.
Yeah, he didn't throw hard, and he would throw me, like 10 curveballs in a row, and I was just sitting on his fastball. I wasn't going to let him get me out. with a fastball, and every time he threw his fastball, I'd hit it hard someplace. But he threw me that breaking stuff, and I waited, and tried to pull, and then I got myself in a lot of trouble. So I just sat on the fastball and took the breaking ball.
Wow.
Who would have thought? How about now? Did you ever face Gibson or Koufax in an All-Star game?
No, I faced them in spring training.
Okay. What do you remember?
Yeah, the first time I faced him, it was in St. Petersburg. And, when I went up to the plate, there was a big hole where I had put my left foot. So I kept, trying to fill it up. And he's yelling at me from the mound. And McCarver's sitting back there saying to me, "Rook, get in the batter's box." And I'm like, I can't stand in this hole. And Gibson kept yelling. The first 2 pitches, he tried to drill me. The third pitch, he tried to drill me. And then he walked me. And then I was going down to first base, and he kind of ambered over towards the line. He says, "Don't even try stealing." I walked back to the mound. So I said, "Okay."
Hey, Rod, I wanted to ask you this question because you played before and after free agency. How do you think that's affected Major League Baseball?
Well, I think it has tremendously. Even though, we fought for a lot of stuff for the kids today to get and appreciate. The main thing that we went on strike for was things that they'd given us, and they wanted to take it away. And we weren't going to accept that. And thank God Kurt Flood stood up to the system and was able to, and Marvin Miller, and they were able to help us get, what we want in the contracts and stuff like that.
Rod Carew joining us on 95.7 The Game. Rod, we're only going to keep you a few more minutes. I know.
That's okay.
Because I got one for him, Steiny.
What do you think of Shohei Ohtani?
Well, I'll tell you, I love him. He's a good player, and he's doing things today that you didn't see players doing back in the day. And he's on a consistent roll. He runs well. He takes the extra base, and he's got some pop from right field to left field. So, he uses the whole field to hit also. But he's good. It's really good.
We were having some fun before you hopped on, and I asked my partner if your life depended on it. Bases loaded, 2 outs. You got 1 batter. It can't be you, Rod, because your name came up. Who would Rod?
I had you. I had you, Rod.
And we all had you. But who would you send up? Who would Rod Carew send up to the plate in that situation?
Well, not me, not Barry Bonds. Because Barry was just devastating, in situations like that. And that's why he received so many ball fours.
Oh,
bases was loaded.
Wow. Get what you're saying.
They'd rather score 1 run than let the guy score 4. But, I would rather have a slugger hitting when the bases are full. Because he's got one thing in mind, and that's to hit something out of the ballpark. I would rather let a line drive hitter be up there because he's just trying to hit the ball hard someplace and not going to lifting the ball. And that's what I think is really messing a lot of young hitters up today. They're not being themselves. They're being what the analytics say about taking pitches. And no. And I've seen so many guys, even with the bases loaded, they're up there looking for curveballs and changeups, and they forgot the number 1 pitch. They forget the number 1 pitch that they can hit, and that's the fastball. And they're taking that pitch with 3 and 2, and it's just crazy.
Let me ask you.
The analytics, I think, has really ruined this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I really agree with you. I wanted to ask you, did you ever get a chance to just talk hitting with the late, great Tony Gwynn?
Oh, Tony and I were really good friends. Yeah, spent a lot of time together, and we had the same ideas about hitting.
Wow.
He would question me, and I would question him. And
what would a question be like in that conversation, Rod?
What's that? Oh, he always told me that I was the greatest. I was better than him, and I said, Tony, forget it, man. I said, we're both the same. We're really good hitters. We think, we understand what hitting is all about, and we just took it that way. Today, I still work for the Twins, and I go to spring training with them, and I never go to the hitting meetings because it's all about analytics, and I just don't believe in it.
Wow.
Amazing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you wonder why the sport is, a mess right now, Rod. I get it. I'm with you.
Let me just ask you lastly, as long as we're talking about some former teammates, during that 77, I don't even know if you've heard of these games, Rod, but I used to play Stratomatic. I used to play APA. I used to play Longbow, all these games. And in 77, when you hit 388, you had a teammate by the name of Lyman Bostock on that team.
Yeah.
And he ended up going to California.
Great upcoming guy.
Pardon me?
He was a great upcoming player who was shot. But he was on his way to being a great player.
Yeah, and you played with him in Minnesota and then also in California. Was that just a coincidence?
Well, I wasn't a free agent, so the Twins traded me there the year after he left, after he was shot. But before that, he used to tell me, Rod, you got to come out here. Gene Autry is a great owner, and he respects his players. And so when it was time for me to leave the Twins, they asked me which teams I would, like to go to. So I said, the Angels. I didn't want to go to New York because New York wanted me also, but
that's right.
I didn't think that I could handle the craziness that was going on in New York. So I came out here and I was comfortable and I enjoyed myself. I still live in California today, and I'm still enjoying myself.
That's right. I mean, that's right. I do remember the Yankees wanted you during the Bronx Zoo right around that time, right?
Amazing.
76.
So did the Giants.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, go ahead.
Rod, we had one of the fans ask, how did the pro scouts find Rod Carew?
Oh, wow. Well, my senior year, I went out because I didn't play for 2 years when I came to this country. I, grew up in Panama.
Right.
And so my godmother brought me here. And, actually Spanish is my first language. So I had to learn English, and she made it where I had to learn it perfectly. So I couldn't play baseball at all. And this friend of mine took me out. That I went to school with, and he was playing on a Sandlot team. And his dad was like a bird dog scout for the Twins. And he watched me every day I would play, and then recommended me to the Twins. And I said, after my class graduated, I said, okay, because it's something that I was looking forward to, playing pro ball one year. And, growing up, I was an abused child. My dad used to just beat the heck out of me. And I told him that one day, I'm going to get to the big leagues, and I'm going to show you what a little punk I am. He didn't like that.
Right.
I did it all for my mom because,
Wow.
Mothers take care of their kids, and they do everything, for us. So I was lucky when she was able to see my first game and come out and cheer for me. And, she had this big smile after the game, and that was it.
Beautiful.
Rod,
Yep.
listen, thank you so much for joining us. I just grew up a baseball fan, and you were right in the heart of it. So I just loved watching you hit. Thank you so much for joining us. RodCarew.com. They got some good merchandise.
Legend.
You have a newsletter too now, I believe.
Yeah, we do a newsletter, and I'm making sure that I can get people to write in votes for Dave Parker, because
Wow.
he's a special man, and I know what he's going through today. So I just keep saying that, let's try and get Dave Parker in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, absolutely. Rod
Great
Carew,
stuff,
thank
man.
you so much.
Okay, guys.
All right. One of the greatest hitters of all time.
Man, and the takeaway is so much great. He called you man.
He did.
That had to